I think I should. I think I should introduce ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Abominogs.
Absolutely. Hey everyone, it's Peter Kerr from Rock Daydream Nation. I've got a very special show, where we're reuniting for the first time in over 40 years the original members of the Abominog Head First Uriah Heep lineup. We have founding member Mick Box. We have lead
Yay!
singer Pete Goalby. We've got the great Bob Daisley and
Yay!
album producer Ashley Howe. Gentlemen,
Superstar.
Gentlemen, it's been over 40 years. Do any of you have a recollection when you were all together in the same room?
The last time, you mean?
Definitely. When we eventually got into the room, because Pete was off, you were doing a thing with trapeze, weren't you, in Texas?
Yeah, yeah.
So Pete was the last one to join, even though he's asked early on, but he had those commitments, so he went and did that, and then he said, "Well, if the job's open, I'll come down and give it a go," and he did, and I think we stayed for 2 weeks, and that was it.
Yeah,
I don't think we ever had the conversation, you're in or whatever, it just happened naturally. Yeah.
it started off with just you and me and Lee at Jumbo Sound.
Initially, yeah. Yeah, initially, yeah. Then I got John over from LA because he was in a band called Lion, with Ricky Farr, Ricky Farr's brother or something. I don't know, whatever it is, one of the Farr brothers. And he was locked into that. And I said to him, look, I've got a Hammond organ, a load of work, and Bob and Lee, and the next minute he was on the plane and over and we were in.
Yeah. It all just gelled and worked right too, didn't it? Straight off.
I remember. Obviously knowing Bob, and Lee, and then of course with John, I knew him from the heavy metal kids that supported Heap all over Europe.
Oh, okay, right.
And in fact, it was a very sad day for rock and roll because the day David Byron was fired in Spain, they fired Gary Holton from from the heavy metal kids.
Right.
So lots of memories down that road.
Yeah.
Mick, did you realise that you were bringing Uriah Heep from the brink? Because there were some tough times just before you assembled this lineup, wasn't it?
Well, and for about 2 days and 2 bottles of vodka, yeah.
Wasn't it defunct though? Wasn't it? Hasn't it ground for a halt?
He was
but basically, I was being told to go and do my agent was saying go and do my own thing, and Mick Box Band and all that stuff, and I was in a momentary 2-day self pity job, what's going on, and then. Then I knew that Ozzy was going to America, and so I phoned up Lee to wish him well and say hello to everyone that we know and all that. And he says, "I'm not going, mate." So my first question was, "Well, I've still got contracts, still got this, got all the things that we need." He says, "Well, as long as Jerry Bron's not involved," I said, "Look, I'll manage the band. I'll take care of all that side. He'll have nothing to do with it." In retrospect, the day-to-day running business, and he went, right, I'm in. And then of course Bob's name came up. And was it Lee who phoned you, Bob, or was it me? I can't remember.
Lee,
yeah. And then
it was a sort of a ready-made rhythm section. Okay, there's 3 of us.
Yeah, so that was right there, and I know John Sinclair. So and I knew that he was very capable, a great player, writer, singer, and everything else. It looked great. So I thought, well, that's a good nucleus. And Pete actually came and auditioned for the band, and we took John Sloman over Pete because John Sloman actually showed his full range, and Pete did a very a bluesy version. But I love the tone of it. Oh, yeah, I love the tone. I love the tone of your voice.
I'm a pop. I'm a pop
and I
singer.
I knew there was a lot more to you than what you gave at that audition as well. And of course, when the opportunity came, you were first on my mind, and I phoned you up, and of course, there you came, mate, in full glory.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've got a question for you, Pete. Was it did you feel that there was pressure, that you were joining an established band with a loyal fan base?
Oh, big time. Yeah. I was just Mr. Stresshead all the time. I could never switch off. I loved doing what we were doing, and we were so well received. It was absolutely fantastic. I can remember shooting forward. I can remember that the very first. Can you guys remember the very first gig that we did?
And where was it?
No, not
It was
me.
in
No. Where was it?
Norway.
no way, not Norway. No,
Norway. Norway.
it was in Dallas, Texas.
Right. Okay.
Oh,
And
was it?
it was Cardi's. You remember that?
No, that
Wow.
wasn't the first gig we ever did, though.
I'm sure it was.
No. First, that was the first gig on the American tour.
Yes, it was. Yeah, yeah.
That was in 1982. We'd
Yeah,
done
that's-
gigs in 81 because that
Well,
was the day that we arrived in Dallas was the day that Randy was killed. Because Lee and I went down to Cardi's to have a look at the gig that we'd be doing the next night, and the girl on the door told us that there'd been this plane crash, and I went in and spoke to the DJ inside who knew all about it, and he told me that Randy was killed in the plane crash that morning. So that was March the 19th.
So where was the first gig that we ever did? I've always
it would have been
believed
in
that it was
England.
at Cardi's.
No,
I did a bit of research, and it
American
said
tour.
Scandinavia. It said Norway. So that was apparently your first gig. I don't know if that's accurate or not.
That might be right.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
actually, now you've said that, I can remember us doing a gig. It was a festival, and we were still recording Abominog, and we went out for the weekend, and we were headlining on the Sunday night. And I remember
Oh, that wasn't the Isle of Man thing, was it?
no,
No.
it was somewhere in Europe, and we turned up, and if you remember, Johnny Allen tuned all the guitars up to a really weird pitch as we
Oh,
were
did he?
walking on. As we were walking on, and everything was just violently out of tune. Was that the first? I'm sure. I'm totally confused. You got to excuse me. I'm 85. No, I've always believed that it was Cardi's. Always
No.
believed it. Always
No,
believed it.
that was in '82. That was that was the first show on the American tour, but
Yeah.
we'd done shows well before that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we better shut up because Peter wants to talk to us.
Oh, go on.
No, that's okay. Bob, quick question for you. Was it really comforting to have Lee Kerslake come across to Heap with you? I bet
Oh,
it
yeah,
would.
yeah. It was a ready-made rhythm section, and we worked
Yeah.
very well together, and we got on great together as well. And because Lee knew Mickey so well, and it was just a ready-made situation. I remember the three of us just being in this room in Jumbo Sound, a rehearsal place in North London.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Wilsden, wasn't it?
I've got tapes of us just playing, knocking up ideas, and just sort of breaking the ice kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it just felt right. It was really comfortable. It just clicked and fell into place, and so there was no sort of making it work. It just worked naturally, And
It was just a natural
when John
progression.
Sinclair and Pete Goalby came in too, it was just, we've got the band now. It just felt right, and it worked really well. And we went to Ridge Farm at first and knocked up a few of our tunes, but Jerry Bron didn't like some of them, and he chose a couple of covers for us to do, which a couple of them were actually good songs. Like That's the Way That It Is. It was a good song, which was our first single.
Yep. Got a question to Ashley. So you're credited with this Abominog sound, which is really punchy 80s radio rock. How intentional was it that you wanted to move Heap from that kind of 70s progressive sound? Was that intentional on your part?
Well, without being rude, yes, it was. But first of all, let me say hi, guys.
Hello, mate.
It's been 40 odd years, and what an absolute pleasure to be doing this with you.
Absolutely.
But we had
Good
fun
question.
in those days. It was always
Uh,
fun. It just felt nice, you know.
So, in answer to your question, yes, it was very intentional, and in actual fact, I got a little annoyed when I saw the reordered North American version, because it was a concept album. In all honesty, that's one of the reasons we ended it with Think It Over, because it was like, okay, this is a different Uriah Heep, but it really isn't. But we're all sort of progressing, and we're all trying to, not be categorized. We're trying to move forward into the future, but not lose the essence of what it really was all about. So, for example, like I say, Think It Over being the last track is, take a thought. All of the past fans might like this, might not like it, but we're trying to get new people and we're trying to evolve. So, yes, it was a concept album in many respects.
Right.
To be honest, I think that at that particular time in the 80s, you had to have a particular sound to get on radio. The whole production thing was changing, wasn't it? And that's what was so great about Peter's voice. He had a voice for radio from the off. It was great.
Yeah.
And I really do believe that there was a whole transition in how you sound as to how you're going to get on that radio.
Yeah.
And we captured it with Ashley, and obviously, as Bob just said, the way that it is, and of course, the whole thing went top 40 in America, and we had a sort of rebirth of the band, which was fantastic.